That's for sure. And I am sure that, talking about this, it must be a big effect on your family also. Tell me, what were they going through at that point of time? And actually, what happened after the fire department people came in, rescued you? What happened afterward?
Well, let me back up just a little bit.
Okay.
Because that morning, when the first plane hit, the phones worked from New York City. The landlines worked.
Right.
And I called up my wife, and I said, "Honey, look on the TV. A plane hit the World Trade Center. We're looking at. We can see for our building,
Right.
but don't worry, I'm nowhere near that." At
Right.
that point, I really
At that
wasn't.
point of right.
At that point, I really wasn't. So she wasn't worried. She hung up, and when the second plane hit, the phone stopped working. From Nassau to Queens, the phone stopped working.
I remember that. Yes.
I was not really able to call home.
Mm-hmm.
So she was very, very worried. She was definitely, very, very worried of what was going on, especially
Right.
if the second plane hit. None of the phones
Phone lines
worked.
were working,
She
right.
knew that I'm a peace officer. I'm a uniformed peace officer, sworn to serve and protect. She had an inkling that I might be involved. Even though I said I wasn't going there
But you will be, right.
She had an inkling that I might be going there. So, my wife, Chris, was very, very worried. Going forward in time to when we got out of there, it just felt so helpless because when I stepped out and the firefighters were leading us, you couldn't see anything.
Right, it was all pitch dark, black.
From the distance from me to you couldn't see. When we were outside and I stepped off a curb, I nearly fell down because I could not see that it was a curb. Looking
Wow.
down, I could not see the ground.
Right.
The smoke and everything was so thick, it was just, you couldn't see anything. And when we got out, more firefighters were there, and they were directing us, say, keep going, don't stay here,
Right.
keep going. And we ended up by a triage center right outside Supreme Court,
Okay.
60 Center Street, Supreme Court. There's a triage center. I was totally covered with the stuff. When I ran inside, my shoulder,
Right.
I slammed my left shoulder in the wall. I was having a little bit of difficulty breathing, couldn't really see too well. And they were saying, all right, the court officers there at 60 Center Street took me inside, and they stuck me in the shower, and they got most of the stuff off my face and so on. And the people there suggested, you should go get checked out.
Okay.
You did your thing. You should go get checked out.
And
now.
your shoulder was broken at that point?
It wasn't broken. It was just jammed pretty good.
Okay.
And I ended up going to Midtown Community Hospital.
Okay.
And they checked me out, and they saw an amazing amount of stuff, and my, it was like concrete in my throat.
Right, right.
So they have to clean me out further. And they sent me home. Actually, they didn't actually send me home, but when I got discharged from there, the hospital police stepped in.
Okay.
And because my car was in Queens, I would go into Queens, a place called Woodhaven, and take the subway in.
Right.
The hospital police got me into their car, and they took me home. And getting out of the hospital police car, that's when my wife saw me.
Okay, so she had no idea what's happening with you. After the phone line said, she had no idea that you went to Second Tower to help people, and then eventually, unfortunately, you got stuck with your other team members. She had no idea you went to the hospital.
Right.
Nothing. So she saw you when the other police officer took you back home.
Right.
I can just imagine what she's been going through at that point of time.
Yeah, it was very, very, very hard on her. Also very hard on us. We lost 3 court officers. 3 court officers gave their lives that day. It was Mitch Wallace, Tommy Juergens, and Captain William Harry Thompson. And Harry was a very, very spiritual guy. And I walked down to the towers with Harry Thompson.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he was really, really, really was a good guy. And I kind of can't really say it without choking up a little bit, but I honestly believe, another thing, the spiritual thing, Harry was a very, very spiritual man. He was a Christian, he was a Baptist, and he loved the 27th Psalm. And I don't really have it in front of me, so pardon me, everybody who knows it, but essentially, the 27th Psalm talks about, if the Lord is with me, who shall I be afraid?
Right.
The Lord is my light and my salvation. And, it also talks about how, when evil men surround me, my heart will not fear. God will lift me up high upon his rock. I will be in his shelter in the house of the Lord forever. And I remember seeing that on Harry's desk, and he had it, and really it was his guide to his professional life, but it also turned out to be his guide to how he faces death, because I saw Harry go into the World Trade Center. I saw it with my own eyes. He had no fear at all. I was looking around like, and I saw Harry went with no fear at all. And my faith is that God did indeed lift him out of there, and that Harry is in the house of the Lord forever.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And seeing the goodness of the Lord face to face.
Absolutely. It is very emotional. It is actually at the same time very bravery that the other officers, what they've done for people who are stuck in there and trying to help them. And some people did made it, and like officers like you were talking about who gave their life for other people, instead they could have sat down at the academy and just waited for other people, but they did not. They went there and didn't know what was really happening. So it's an honor, I would say. It's a beautiful country that we are in, and as I always say, I mean, anything that anybody can do is a big thank you. I think that's what officers want to hear, I think. And I strongly feel that way also. And I think every time I talk about something like this, and I always say that you should never take anybody for granted. And it is very, very important for us to all to understand. We're getting a call. Let me see who it is. Hello?
Hello, this is